I'm ready.
Okay. So yeah, I was looking through the email, so it seemed like you picked out a few. You definitely picked out a few like very interesting games, which I think had some valuable lessons and kind of showed some tendencies too. Like in probably more games than you would like, you got an advantage that you were not able to convert,
Yeah.
which is normal. Like okay, this is the nature of chess. Is sometimes the hardest thing to do is win a winning position, and sometimes the first step to being able to beat high rated opponents is getting the advantage against them. It can take a lot of time and energy to like consistently beat them. But let's take a look at you want to start with this game against Joe Anthony.
That'd be fantastic. Yes.
So Benoni, which I'm not a specialist in, but okay, I've seen games in the Benoni before, and I know this is supposed to be one of the most challenging lines, like e4, f4, combined with bishop b5 check. Now, is this something you studied before? I would assume you've studied this, given that you knew to play knight ft7.
Yeah. I watched all of Jonathan Schwartz's lecture on
Ah, interesting. Okay,
so he's been a huge help in like me learning this. So it's been fun.
nice. So there's one like this position actually brought back a memory for me. Even though I've never played the Benoni, I went to a chess camp when I was younger. And the lecturer at the camp was actually a Benoni specialist.
Really?
His name is Albert Kappengut.
Wow.
And there's actually a variation in the Benoni named after him. If you Google like Kappengut variation Benoni, you'll find like, the variation named after him. But this specific position brought back memories because I was remembering a lecture that he gave where he was suggesting a secondary move here for black. Rather than knight fd7, he was suggesting knight bd7, which I think a lot of books and a lot of analysis will just dismiss as a mistake because it allows white to play e5 followed by e6.
Mm-hmm.
And like supposedly white should win material and get some advantage. However, the position becomes so complex and the center opens up so much that in many variations, black gets a ton of counterplay if white goes for this line.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just looking at it briefly, but this is one recommendation for you to look into deeper if you want to perhaps switch it up and go into this, because I feel like a lot of white players would maybe stumble into playing e6. And after queen h4 check, there's a lot of interesting variations which can stem from this position.
Oh yeah, and if I come more prepared, and E6 looks so strong, but if I come more prepared in this, and I know how to handle it, it seems like a good surprise weapon.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if we look at this position, white has two main moves: g3 or king d2.
Yeah.
And both of these moves are like lead to very sharp positions. If g3, you have like take g3.
Yeah.
And there's a line like this where the position's a complete mess.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen this actually. Jonathan actually showed a game like this. It's really crazy. He played like bishop e3 to protect the knight,
Right.
and the knight on d7 hanging for like two moves. It's a pretty crazy position.
Yeah. And I think there's some line where like you can. It feels counterintuitive, but you can take on c3 and play a6, and you
Oh,
get some position. I believe where there's you have a rook for two minor pieces, but the
yeah.
center is wide open.
That'd
And
be a fun game. Oh man.
yeah, I mean, it requires very deep preparation. Like this is already move 17, and you probably, like, if you were to prepare this seriously, you'd probably want to prepare deeper.
If I remember correctly, the line is this, and then this, and then white trades and.
So white goes for a queen trade. Yeah, I honestly don't know any analysis here, but I would think if white goes for a queen trade, you have potential on both the king side and the queen side to create passed pawns.
That is true.
And,
But yeah, this is very interesting. This could be really fun.
so yeah, I mean, it might require some memorization of these really sharp lines, and you have to be prepared for how it branches out to. Like King D2 is a whole different sequence.
Sure.
Which actually, I'm checking the Masters database. Black scores really well here.
Oh, really?
A lot of like strong GMs, it looks like, have lost if you're F take E6, D take E6, and castling.
Isn't
Just
that
give away the
crazy?
knight.
That's
Yeah, like, but it's
I
pretty
love it.
thematic just to forget about the piece and like the king's on D2. You want to get a rook to D8.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, thanks for showing me this line. I've never
yeah, for sure.
considered it because Jonathan, was like more of a favorite of the other line, but this
Uh-huh.
actually looks more fun, like looking at it for a second time.
Yeah, and like from a practical standpoint, I mean, I feel like very few players will be prepared as white, like beyond E6.
Yeah.
And like when you're preparing this, you want to not only look at like the main lines that have occurred in Masters games, but always question like what if white plays just a move that hasn't been played before, like King F1. This would be a big question for me. Now I'm realizing King F1 looks like a terrible move because it allows you to take and castle with check. Yeah. And then you're not even losing a piece, and your knight will eventually come to E5.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man.
but it's important to like build up an understanding for what's going on rather than memorizing moves, because you want to be able to like navigate through the chaos when your memory can't serve you.
Sure, sure. Fantastic. Thank you.
But yeah, let's move on to like the rest of the game because it seemed like at least in a few of your recent games you had like very typical Benoni positions. And okay, this all is fairly standard. Queen B6 was iffy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's a move. You're trying to prevent white from castling. Um, I mean, the main move here, I think you said, is knight F6. With a simple idea, you want to play bishop G4. Your light squared bishop is usually the problem piece in these positions.
Yeah.
And if white castles, I was taking a look at a few games where black just plays bishop G4, whenever white plays H3, you take on F3. And after you trade off, even like the bishop for knight, you have a bit more room to work with. You like don't feel as cramped
For
given
sure.
the space deficit.
For sure.
So there's one interesting kind of question that can arise is after knight f6, what do you do after h3?
Yeah. That's actually if you know the Benoni, like A4 and H3 are the things that prevent white or prevent black from like counterplay. Um,
Right. Yeah,
I
h3 is the strongest move, I would argue, for white.
yeah, I think I would just keep this bishop tight, like just here for a while,
Hmm.
and develop all the other minor pieces. Maybe push B5 when the time is right, Queen C7,
Gotcha.
or like this.
Yeah, that's one approach.
Yeah,
Sometimes you want to be a bit more immediate. You also want to use tactics to your advantage. The one drawback with h3 is the fact that white's king is still in the center. And you
uh,
can actually try and utilize, also, okay, g3 could be weak as well, but I
oh
don't know if you can exploit that effectively.
sure,
But you can try and utilize the e-file before black, or before white can castle. There's an interesting idea here, a move I can recommend is playing c4,
hmm,
which it feels weird when the c pawn's not defended, but you're kind of using tactics to your advantage, where if white takes, then you have the simple rook e8. And your initiative will come very quickly. If white retreats, you have the knight take e4 here,
yeah,
and then followed by f5.
I like it. Wow,
So it's a nice idea. Like you kind of take advantage of the fact white can't or shouldn't take on c4. And if white plays a move like bishop c2, then you have this opening for the c5 square. Your queen can come to c7. It would be very playable from here.
yeah. It feels like you have a very intuitive sense of like urgency. When I'm just like, oh, I can just develop my knight and rook and play my moves that I learned some of the main ideas of the opening. But you're like, no, I need to get this bishop out and while the king's in the center, we should exploit that as soon as possible.
Exactly. I mean, it's something you sometimes have to react to. Like when white plays slowly with h3,
Yeah.
then that will give you the opportunity to play a move like c4.
Wow.
So it's important to be aware, like especially for a Benoni player, be aware of whenever you can play c4 and whenever you can play b5.
Mm-hmm.
I have the opening book open. I'm really curious. There's one game with b5 here, which I don't understand. I'm wondering if this is a blunder or if this has any practical sense. No, the guy played bishop b7. No, don't play b5. Go for like knight d7 or queen c7 even. So anyway, let's see what happened in the game, because you played queen b6, and okay, you still got kind of a normal position, knight d2. I guess the one drawback is now your bishop can't really trade itself off.
Yeah.
So you play knight d7. And okay, any trade of minor pieces helps you. It frees you up a little bit. Queen c2. Yeah, I don't know about knight d7. What was the purpose? You wanted to just unleash your bishop, or?
Prevent e5, and then I made a note saying maybe rook e1, but should have been much better. Because I moved it
a
right.
situation like this, you want to stay as flexible as possible. Meaning, you're not sure yet whether your bishop wants to go to d7 or your knight wants to go to d7, but you know your rook wants to go to e8.
For sure, yeah.
And if you're looking to prevent e5, then it makes a lot of sense to play rook e8 first.
Yeah.
But okay, it seemed like what happened was your opponent had like a pleasant position, but just didn't really know what to do. Like he just kind of put his pieces on natural looking squares. And then you built up a really nice, like powerful queenside pawn storm starting with c4.
Yeah.
I think you had the note here. Yeah, knight d1. Knight d1 was a really strong move for white, preventing c4. But it takes a strong player to find a move like this.
Yeah. 100%.
And yeah, if you played knight d1, it would be a bit trickier for you to expand. Maybe you would play like rook b8 or something. I see you have the line, rook b8. Yeah, a5. So if white plays accurately, he can try and clamp down.
Sure. Yeah, it's something if they know like Benoni's main plans. It's a little harder, like h3, a4, and knight d1.
Yeah, like knight d1, like the knight doesn't want to be on c3 here. It wants to be helping control c4, so knight d1, knight d3. And combine with a5. But it requires a lot of like positional prowess to play this well as white.
Sure.
So it's one of the reasons why I feel like it's an effective opening at your level is players, even like the expert level player you played, like you're able to get like some nice initiative in most of these middle games. So yeah, let's keep going here because I like your position. Yeah, b5 just seems a lot more natural to defend your c-pawn. In bishop d7 first, because I would really like if I'm black, I would really like to hold on to c4 so I could control d3. So if you play b5 first, this just enables you a lot more nice positional plans, which could potentially lead to tactics. Like now you're threatening knight d3.
Yeah.
And now you're the one kind of putting a clamp on white's position. Like this pawn is just so strong. And like b2 could be a long-term target, given your bishop just so solid on g7.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're 100% right. My thinking was, I thought this square would be weak because if the queen would take, my bishop can come here. And I saw a tactic that I tried to force, but he didn't fall for it, obviously. And yeah, b5 is the obvious winner.
Yeah, maybe you're too hopeful, given that yeah, you're kind of hoping for bishop to b5. But yeah, of course, knight c3 and like okay, it's still pleasant. Like b5 will still come very soon. or a5. Um, I think all of this is fine. And bishop takes c3. Wow, because you don't want to allow like knight b5, or you want to win the pawn. Aha, on e4.
No, I tried to win the pawn at e4, but he had queen takes c3, and the trades
Right, there's
actually
pin.
were bad for me because I actually had the advantage. But
Yeah, I was gonna say bishop c3 looks dubious. Like if you're not winning anything immediately with bishop takes c3, I think it's better to preserve your bishop.
Alright.
Especially like if you're trading off your dark-squared bishop and white's keeping his own dark-squared bishop, this could lead to issues later on with your kingside dark squares.
Hmm.
But okay, the position's still like easy to play for black. And very soon, like you just completely took over. Like this is incredible, rook a4. Because you're just winning material, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. He had to give up a bishop.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it seemed like your tactics were good. Like this sequence was nice. And bishop a5. And then it was completely winning. Except you should never call a position completely winning, because then it will cause you to relax and sometimes be careless. Now, it seemed like a big factor in this game, which perhaps led to not winning, was time.
A little bit, yeah. But also, this is like my highest rated opponent before this, like before yesterday, or
Uh,
I think psychologically, like when I was trading stuff, I was like, let's just get to the end game, let's just equalize instead of being okay with like a very complicated position and
sure,
knowing that I can like out not like out tactic this guy, but that I can like keep on the same level and fight. Um,
sure. Yeah, this is one of these like experience issues,
I think so.
which like you very rarely have completely winning positions against much higher rated players. And I've seen this so many times. It's very normal that like when a player gets a winning position against a higher rated player that they've never really had such a situation before, they just kind of freak out and don't know what to do, and either take a lot of time or play really passively or safely, or try and go for trades like where it's helping their opponent. Um, so yeah, you just want to play simple moves here. I think you started off well. You went for this trade. Oh, but then you played Rook B1, which okay, it's still a fine move. It's winning. I'm actually curious here how long you spent on debating between Rook take E2 and Rook B1.
I was in a
Like,
time trouble, so I actually played it instantly.
okay,
Well, not just because of time trouble, but also because like psychologically, I think okay, if left pieces on the board, it's be more simple. I can probably win that easier. But
sure.
the experience issue, I think.
Yeah, like okay, based on my intuition, I mean Rook B1 and getting two like a knight and queen versus two rooks, it should be easy win. I think just keeping the extra piece and keeping the material a bit more balanced with queen and rook for each side is easier. And I know you gave the line here where you're just winning the e4 pawn and you have everything defended.
Ah,
Um, but okay, it's still winning. And yeah, I could see that your play was being affected by the time situation. It's actually this is not like already it's not that easy because you don't have any passed pawns, and you only have three pawns. Like the more pawns that are off the board, the more difficult it is to win when you have like a material advantage.
hmm.
Because in order to create a passed pawn, you probably have to at least trade off a pair of pawns because this e pawn and g pawn they're always defended by the rooks. Um, and then whenever you trade off maybe another pawn or two, then your king is becoming more exposed.
Yeah.
And then, like, this is basically what happened in the game, is white then got enough counterplay, it seemed like, to hold on. So, yeah, from a positional standpoint, what you probably should have done sooner was bring your knight to e5.
Really?
It's just I know you want to keep the constant attack against the e pawn, but white is already always defending the e pawn.
Mm.
So you much rather put your knight on e5, where you have potential for later knight g4 ideas to try and create some attack against the king side and try and provoke some weakness.
Hmm.
Like let's just imagine you get like a knight to e5 and a queen to h4. Not a difficult maneuver. Like the pieces easily maneuver, the rooks will be restricted. And then let's say, okay, you're threatening mate on h2, so white would have to play h3. Then you would simply return to e5,
Yeah.
and then because white has played h3, now there's a target, you can perhaps go for g5, g4 with a pawn break to expose white's king even further.
Oh, man, I wish I could just replay the game. Like, it looks so simple, right? Like the way you say it, just logically.
I mean, okay, I know maybe the way I say it, it makes it seem easy, but like always in the heat of the game, it's there's a lot more pressure, and like you just have to maintain your composure under the pressure and maybe react to if white tries to disturb you in some way. But this is the overall idea.
Yeah.
And the key idea to know whenever you have queen and knight versus some like lesser material combination is that if you can expose your opponent's king, the queen plus his knight or plus knight combination is one of the most powerful piece combinations when it comes to a mating attack. Like queen and knight work so well together when attacking the king. So if you provoke h3 and get this break in with g4, it's going to be hard for white to defend, even with like the two rooks.
Mm.
And then ultimately you either want to like mate or have some tactic where you fork or something to simplify things.
Yeah. What a good plan. I honestly, in the middle of the game, I thought this was equal.
Hmm.
I thought I couldn't
Wow.
win. But obviously, computer afterwards like +5. And I was like, oh goodness.
Now I have a interesting thought. If we let's say we play this out right now, I play white, you play black. Let's say we play some time control, like 3+2.
Sure.
Are you confident you could win as black?
Now with this plan, yeah, I think so.
Okay. Would you want to play it out?
Oh god, I'm gonna be embarrassed.
But
On
like again, like the pressure will be on. So this is
all right,
I,
let's just play on the study, or how do we do this?
so the way I'll just challenge you. Lee chess is great, where I'll just challenge you from the position.
Oh goodness.
Let me see, tam. I do this all the time with students. Is we'll like set up. Usually it's like more theoretical endgame positions to play out. But I like playing out practical positions too, where okay, you should be able to win against any player.
Sure. Oh goodness.
So there it's I made it 3+3, so I
Oh,
mean,
don't worry about it.
okay, you're in time trouble, but you're not gonna flag if you play quickly enough.
Is it my turn? Oh, my.
It's black to move, yes.
All right. Let's try it.
Okay, good luck.
No, get out of here.
Again, stay calm. I think it's the most important thing. It's a good move.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Uh, keep going.
I'm not resigning. Make sure you can convert this. Okay, now I resign.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I mean, your plan is so simple. I mean, once I knew the plan, it was just easy to do it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it still required some work in the end to eventually get this like final tactic to, okay, first of all, win the pawn, then later win the rook, and chase the king around.
Yeah.
But yeah, knowing the plan helps.
Oh man.
And something like during a game, if you don't have like this like kind of clear state of mind where you're freaking out because of time pressure and you don't have a clear plan, you're just moving around aimlessly, that's what can cause things to go wrong. But
Yeah, I think the confidence of also just knowing that I'm winning here. You know, like
yeah, that's true too.
yeah, like
Sometimes knowing the valuation can really help.
yeah. Oh man, that was exhilarating. That was good.
But yeah, so this is an exercise we can certainly do more often, like playing out positions which or you should be winning, and then kind of testing to see if you can actually beat me. So then if you can beat me, then you can beat someone 400 points below me. So,
Good. Good.
um, well, cool. So hopefully that game will offer a lot of room for growth.
Yeah,
And how about we move on to another game?
let's do it.
Let me I lost the tab here. Reopen this.
Me too. I just reopened my study.
Yeah. So, it's up to you what game you want to look at next. I know we have the French game against Sricharan, and we have the other game that you played against David Askin.
Um, I think. Oh, actually, yeah. I think in this there was an end game where it was just clearly like if I knew the technique, it was just winning right here.
Ah, right. It was a matter of just making progress on the king side.
Yeah, it was ridiculous of how I did not make progress.
Well, you were being overly protective. Like you saw his idea of knight c4 and like taking and queening, and
Yeah.
you were probably so concerned about that that you just you forgot your play is so much quicker. The idea of getting your bishop to f6 is unstoppable, and then your pawn has basically a very clear path to queening.
Yeah. Um, I remember this position so much now that I think I won't ever hopefully won't ever make the same mistake again. But yeah, just
Yeah,
endgames think like this, like with real. That's why I asked you for the email, like real endgames with like minor pieces on the board. Like you have to know, like how to win these.
exactly. Where like the advantage is clear, but you still have to sometimes you have to walk a tightrope. Like there might be only one winning line.
Right.
Um, in this case, it was interesting because even after chips got traded, there is still some potential to win because your pawns are so strong, and these pawns are just blockaded.
Exactly. The goal is my king has to be on G5, but
Right.
with the pawn, like so it can support G6.
It's tricky though, because you don't want to like play. One thing you don't want to do is play King H5 G5 and get mated with Bishop F3.
Oh no.
Usually the rule in these positions is as you advance the pawns, if it's opposite-color bishops, you want to advance your pawns on the same color as your opponent's bishop. So when you play King F4 here, um, and you're debating which pawn to push.
Yeah.
And I think you ended up doing this later. G5 would be a mistake because
Yeah.
you allow black to blockade.
Yeah.
But playing H5 immediately, what this allows you to do is control the light squares with your pawns, and then you'll control the dark square with your bishop.
Hmm.
Now, what happened after King G5?
The maneuver.
You played this too early.
Yeah, the maneuver should be this.
You have to bring the king to H4, yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, if I knew that one thing, I would be winning.
Yeah, because like you had the right. Okay, you started with the right move H5,
Yeah.
but you can never allow black to force you to move to the dark square, which is the other rule. Um,
Wow.
and I'm
Because like,
pretty sure if we played this out, it would be easy win. Now that you know the plan.
yeah, I feel like the people who I learn from, like yourself and people on YouTube, like they talk about chess as in like dark squares and like we talk in that language, and it's
Hmm.
so hard for me to like understand. Like, oh yeah, just logically, like this bishop in a light square, so make sure your pawns are on light squares, and then push dark squares with your. I'm still learning that, so it's not intuitive to me just yet.
Yeah, I feel like you just haven't had so many endgames like this in like serious play, so it takes a while for these kind of general rules to sink in. But yeah, this is a very common rule in octacolor bishop endings. You want your pawns on the same color as your opponent's bishop.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, Now, there's another rule in bishop endings of the same color.
What
Where
was
would
that?
you want your pawns? Let's say it's a bishop ending where both bishops are on light squares,
Yeah, I actually had that game, and I put all of my pawns on dark squares.
which is good. Yeah, you would want your pawns on the opposite color of your own bishop.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
okay, good, good, good.
I
Uh,
feel like, yeah, you had a game which I don't think you mentioned in the email. I forget which game it was, but you took a draw in a position where I think you could have had winning chances.
was it a recent game or before? Because I have one in mind right now.
I think it's in the study. Maybe this game?
So
Draw? This game, yeah.
exactly. So do you think I had winning chances here?
Yeah. Like this is another position I'd be happy to play out.
Wow.
And like if I were playing black, I would feel confident I could beat you as black.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to play it out?
Um, me being white.
Where you're being white, or I can show you analysis too, whatever you think would be more effective.
Okay. I'll be white. Let's try that.
Okay. This is one of my biggest pet peeves is when students take draws in positions where it still has life.
Yeah, I also think it was I was just really tired here.
Uh that can be a factor too.
I wanted to go home, and so I
Fair
actually
enough.
offered him two draws throughout the game, but he said no to both.
Uh
So I was like, okay, hurry up.
well that probably gave you more chances to win then.
Let me accept it on this screen. Okay,
Okay, so you're playing white,
yeah,
playing black. Was there time trouble or
no time trouble.
okay,
It was just I was just so beat,
fair
um,
enough.
and I didn't want to try to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it probably requires like a mistake or two from white,
Yeah.
which sometimes can be provoked if you really try and grind things down. So it's white to move here, I believe.
Okay. No. What are you doing? Okay. What? No. Oh wait, sorry. Take it back.
Yeah, sure.
I can't let your king go there. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't want to allow king d4. That's very true.
That would just be the blunder.
Fair enough.
I have no good moves. No. You can't possibly win this, can you?
I know you want to you want to feel like it's strong because it's 3-on-3 with bishops, but I mean black is already like all white's pawns are fixed on light squares, which is a very big problem. Now I have to calculate because if I take your bishop and play b6, I think you're in zugzwang.
How? How did this happen so fast? Oh man, this is resignable, I think.
So I have a feeling you may have just you. I mean, it was clear you misevaluated. Because yeah, this
Oh man.
this point it's difficult.
Wow, that was very good.
But hopefully that's a demonstration of how you want to grind down. Like you want to go for these pawn breaks to create more potential weaknesses in white's position.
Hmm.
And I will say it's probably a draw with perfect play, but for white to defend perfectly is very difficult.
What would be White's plan? I feel like.
I mean, white just has to wait, but white has to avoid allowing these long situations.
Sure. Like maybe this bishop coming into d1 was very dangerous for me because.
Yeah, you can't allow like the bishop to infiltrate like that. I think after bishop d1 is probably lost.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you see?
I was going to add a new chapter just to show the analysis of the game we just played.
Yeah, I couldn't move here, I think.
Like, yeah, I think this was some kind of zugzwang. Maybe king d3 is the best move though. Like king d3 might keep the position drawn.
Yeah, just go back and forth.
Um, yeah, I mean, I was gonna try some different ideas of there's this potential b5 break if I put my bishop on f7 and play b5.
f7 here.
Yeah.
Ah.
I have the game in the study if you want to
In the games?
in your game study, yeah,
Okay, I see it.
which is just the sequence that we played.
Should I start on the computer? Or
There's no need.
okay.
Because the computer sometimes it will say like -1, and it will never like as long as white doesn't mess up, it will stay at -1 and it will be a draw.
Mm.
Um, but like from a practical standpoint, this is unpleasant for white because like all the pawns are fixed on light squares. And okay, what ended up happening, like this position is I think is already lost because the c4 pawn will eventually be lost.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, so king d3. I mean, it's a weird move to play. Um, oh, there is another idea too that I kind of wanted to play. It was going to be my last resort.
Sure.
If you've for somehow defended perfectly, I was going to try for this idea with putting the pawn on a3, bring my bishop here, and then if you somehow go wrong,
Oh,
um, like let's say you play bishop e2 here,
yeah.
then this idea of bishop a4 uh, could be winning. Though in this case, white might still be able to draw. White should move. What's the only move to stay alive?
Uh, maybe this or
Bishop d1's only move.
yeah. So
Uh,
just keep grinding. Just keep going. Don't give up.
right. Yeah. I mean, white has to be very accurate, like to not allow these tricks. I don't know how closely you were following the event in St. Louis, but there's a game with Kasparov,
Mhm.
and it was very similar. It had a very similar feel to your game.
Mhm.
This is one of the few times I'll compare you to Kasparov, where
Like,
he like took a draw very early in an off-the-color bishop ending, and he missed this winning idea with putting the bishop. He was white. The move was bishop h5, but it was just such a simple idea. Like the commentators were just like scolding him for missing it. But
interesting. Yeah. I mean, you had like I feel like you have these ideas in mind, like of playing this or like finding weaknesses. I think to get for me to learn this, like I just need to do this more often. Even if I know it's going to be a draw, like just keep trying to think about it critically and like find weaknesses and just
yeah,
try.
yeah,
Um,
it helps to see examples of games too. I'm thinking of one game I played uh, about 2 years ago where it was similar situation to this, and just it was multiple stages. It took multiple ways to win an endgame. Like first, I had to fix my opponent's pawns on the light squares, and then I had to use my bishop to put the opponent in zugzwang. So, but like kind of understanding the process it takes to win these positions. Hopefully, next time if you get a position like this, even if you're tired, hopefully you won't take a draw because
yeah.
it's much better for black.
Oh man, this is super helpful. Like just learning this might save me a game or two in the future.
I mean, yeah, that's the nature of knowing endgames is like if you know kind of the valuation or just the strategy in a particular endgame, it can be the difference between winning or drawing or winning and losing. So
Hmm.
it's an important part of chess.
Yeah, I feel like there should be like some kind of end game like boot camp where you just see positions like this and just grind, like just play it out against like your friend or something and just practice.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan like of playing out positions, especially positions like this where it usually requires a grind. And I think the best way to learn these positions are to play them out like consistently.
Sure.
So yeah, it helps to have like a training partner, like someone who you can play with, like online or over the board, and especially with lichess to like play out positions with time, where you
Yeah.
can just set up the starting position is very useful.
Nice.
So
Thank you.
yeah, yeah, these are like probably my two favorite things in chess are okay, opening tricks,
Hmm.
but then also like endgames like this where it's just a simple grind where I know like the clear ideas because everything is just kind of falls into place, or you kind of you know your resources and it's just a matter of torturing your opponent. So,
Oh man.
but
Okay.
sometimes it takes time to appreciate and to develop a passion for these types of things.
Yeah, I wish I wanted to be better at these, but I have to be better at so many things. Middle game, end game, open. I'm okay with openings now, but
Yeah. But again, just patience. Like you're not going to learn everything overnight, but it's good to get like exposure to things like this so you kind of know what's in store for the future.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Um, cool. I guess for the last like 15 minutes or so, we can go over the last game I had yesterday or 2 days ago.
This against David, right?
Yes, maybe we can skip to the middle game.
Yeah.
The opening's kind of a standard.
Actually, you know what? I think this exact variation
Uh-huh.
with the knight on e2, I think this is what we call the Kaplan-Gut variation.
Oh,
Um,
the teacher you mentioned?
yes.
Oh,
I'll have to send you like the Wikipedia article. Um,
okay. Well, this is
just
actually
in case like you want to explore the Benoni further, this
yeah.
Wikipedia article breaks down the Benoni into all these different variations.
Huh. Thank you. I just saw this.
Yeah, I usually don't share Wikipedia things with students, especially related to chess, but okay, it's interesting. Uh, Now, one idea I wanted to ask you if you considered
Sure.
in this position. Wait a minute. In this position. Because you played c4, and then in your comment you also had like rook b8 is also possible. Did you consider this move h5?
Never. No.
Uh, so h5 is a very thematic move when the knight's on g3.
In general or in this opening?
Um, well, particularly in this opening, but in general for this sort of structure. If the
Really
knight's on g3, the idea of h4, or h5, h4 can be quite annoying for white.
interesting. So knight had to go back here, and I just have more space on the king side.
If you're just clamping down, yeah, like if you got a pawn to h4, it's not necessarily too weak, and sometimes it can allow ideas of knight h5.
Yeah.
Uh, kind of further expansion, maybe knight h5 and bishop e5. Um,
And then if bishop g5.
I guess it depends though. Like one
Sure.
of the reasons for playing h4, which I should point out right away, is
Yeah.
you want to weaken the support of the e4 pawn.
Oh.
So the combination of like h4 and c4 and knight c5 could allow you to have three attackers. You would
Yeah.
remove one of the defenders, and then e4 would be a target.
Interesting. Yeah. In the Benoni, I just thought, okay, focus on the queen side, just keep the king side king safe, and you'll be good. But I never even considered h5.
So yeah, it's a move like sometimes it's not always the most effective, and yeah, sometimes you don't want to be too quick with h4
Yeah.
because bishop g5 could be hurtful.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just illustrate one example. Like when you play h5,
Yeah.
from a tactical standpoint, I'm pretty sure it prevents white from playing f4. If white were to play f4, now there's a nice tactical sequence,
Sure.
starting with h4. And
Okay.
the problem for white is that first you remove the knight from defending e4, and because this bishop is undefended on e3, you're going to have tactics associated with e5 opening up.
Oh, yeah, I see.
So if we imagine, okay, in this line I had knight h1, because this is a common idea to bring the knight to f2 for white.
Okay.
Here you can just take on e4, and after white takes back, just f5 and you win your piece back.
Hmm.
And the center is opening up in your favor, because your rook is very happy.
Hmm.
You'll either win the knight or the bishop, and you'll maybe get a pawn to e4, and okay, it's still kind of a crazy position, but looks fun for black.
It looks fun. My king is a little more exposed. And
That's
I think,
true. Your king's exposed, but this pawn on d5 prevents white from checking, and you always have king h8 at your disposal, so
yeah.
king
Oh,
is
yeah.
relatively safe.
Okay. Okay, I dig it. You get
So,
it space and
so yeah, I think h5 is just it's a flexible move. You're kind of waiting for white to move the f pawn, so you could potentially have this tactic, and then later you can decide if you want to commit to c4.
yeah. I've also seen Nakamura play h5 in the Sicilian. He castles kingside too. He plays h5 and he has a couple of games like that. It's like, whoa, that's it.
In the Najdorf, yeah, in this h3.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. This like h3 Najdorf, where black plays h5 to prevent g4 and to clamp
Yeah.
down.
Exactly, yeah. And I was like, whoa, that's counterintuitive, but I see, some wins in there. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Now, when you mentioned Nakamura, it's funny. The first I kind of zoned out when you said Sicilian, and the first thing that came to mind when you said Nakamura H5 was a game that he played against Caden Trough. I don't know if it's exact. It was like a similar sort of Benoni, I think.
Yeah, he's been on the plate of Benoni as well.
I mean, whenever he's playing for a win, he'll play like these Benoni or King's Indian games. Caden Trough. I'm trying to find the game because I think it was a nice demonstration.
Oh, sure.
2015. It wasn't. Okay, he didn't play H5. It was actually a different setup. It was a really cool game. Um, I'll send you a chess games link on Skype.
Okay, sure. Thank
Check
you.
that. And if I'm not mistaken, Nakamura annotated the game. And annotations should be somewhere on chess.com.
Okay, I'll take a look. Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. I'm trying to find that because like the. Where was it? Oh, maybe it might not exist. I might have to find it later. But
Okay.
anyway, we can focus on what happened in in your game. So, oh yeah, so you had H5, you ended up playing C4?
Yes.
Oops, don't want to go that far. My bad. C4. Um, and yeah, I think you got a position where the ideas were pretty clear. I mean, brought the knight to C5. Of course, you want to play B5. I was a little bit curious again why you didn't play B5 immediately. I think this is similar to the other game where you could have played B5, but you made a different move instead.
Yeah, I think I was scared of E5.
E5. Yeah, because you're not in C5.
But it's actually, I don't think it's not bad at all.
Yeah, the thing with E5 is sometimes you just allow it. You play knight D7, and now there's so much pressure on E5.
Yeah.
But okay, it's still a complex position. And yeah, I mean knight D7, it's a safer move. The one drawback of this move, is that instead of Queen F2, he could have played A5.
Yeah, yeah.
And now it's hard, like it's impossible to play B5 without allowing en passant.
Hmm.
And
And
A5 is a very
yeah, I
strong
talked to him
idea.
after the game. He's like, yeah, that should have been the better move. And he's like, he contemplated because my rook would be more active, and the b file will be open. So
Gotcha.
he was like debating that or queen f2. So I mean, both moves are.
I see.
But I see your point. Like play it before he plays a5.
Right, because like what happened in the game is you got a really comfortable position. Like
Yeah.
this is what you want in the Benoni. Okay, with the exception of your bishop still being on C8, which you would normally like to trade off earlier, but it still seemed like a nice Benoni position. Like you got this pawn storm, and then you ended up winning a pawn very soon. F5 worked out for him, but it was completely unsound,
Yeah, yeah.
and just gave you a very nice pawn in the center. And I think your one like key mistake in this game, I think, is very easy to see in hindsight. You traded off your best piece. Your bishop on e5 should not be traded off.
Mm.
And again, it wasn't for like anything concrete. Like if you're going to trade off your bishop, you want something really concrete. But here you are you're trading off a piece which is one of your most important defenders, like defending the dark squares.
Yeah, I think again I just wanted to like simplify, which is
Sure.
maybe not a good idea because I'm in the Benoni. Like I should. This is what the position. This is what the opening does. Um, and so after like we trade a bunch of pieces, like I think I'll be okay with these queenside pawns, but obviously that was not the best strategy. The strategy is like keep the tension and
Well, yeah, I mean, simplifying is okay when it benefits you, but it's
yeah,
always up to you to make the judgment. Here, like, okay, every trade will benefit yourself or your opponent. Here, the bishop take g3, even though you want to simplify, this is clearly benefiting white.
100%.
Um, so I'm curious how strongly you considered f6. I know it looks scary.
I've considered it, but it looks so scary because the pawn's hanging and like both bishops were, you know,
Yeah,
it's
and you have
scary.
like this intuition, like built-in intuition that all of White's pieces have potential to attack on the king side, and you don't want to create weaknesses. Um, but
What?
sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I mean, the other way to think about it is just calculate concretely. If you start calculating in this position, you're imagining f6, then you're scared of bishop take g6, then you see f take g5, and then you see, okay, you have all these squares covered. Your rook, your knight, your bishop, they defend. Then you realize the situation is actually more difficult for white because it's up to white to find the breakthrough because you're the one up material. And that's actually not a bad situation to be in against higher rated players, is to be the one up material and simply defending.
Yeah.
Um, of course, sometimes it's terrifying, but I've had like sometimes my especially when I was younger, when I was lower rated, my biggest upsets were cases like this where my opponent would be overly ambitious, sacrifice material, and then just not get enough compensation.
Mm,
And then that kind of reinforced me to play a more solid kind of defensive style, where
yeah.
I was happy for players just to attack me and overextend.
Mm,
So it seems like you had the chance this game if you were brave enough to play f6.
yeah. I think after F6, I was worried about like my continuation. Um,
Uh,
because most of my pieces are tied down to defend.
sure.
So I was thinking, okay, what happens after this? And the computer just wants you to just play bishop b7 and just develop and win a pawn, and
Yeah, well, yeah, bishop b7 looks weird, because it's like on the queen side, and all the focus seems like it should be on the king side. The two main purposes, you want to get your rook to f8. Rook f8 is a serious idea to neutralize f file,
yeah,
and when you can take on d5, like then both bishops are amazingly placed in the center.
100%.
So, like, and the thing to realize, like, even though knight h5 is scary, like you always ask yourself, is there a threat? Here, there's not a clear threat. Okay, maybe bishop f7, but king h8.
Yeah.
So it's like one check you shouldn't be scared of.
Hmm.
And
Psychologically, I think it was scary, but
of course, yeah, no, I understand.
yeah, I 100% get what you're trying to say.
But yeah, and again, like this experience is good because hopefully this one moment will make you stronger in future situations which are similar.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So yeah, it was unfortunate because after taking on g3, it's just so hard to come back from. With the dark squares. I actually didn't really see the game too closely after this, but
Yeah, it was like -4 from here, so I had to sack my rook and
hmm yeah, I see this move bishop h6. That would be a nice finish. Because what happened? I assume this is force mate somehow.
uh, I don't know actually, but computer said it was force mate.
Yeah, I mean this is all forcing. If the king has to go to f5, I assume. Where's a mate? Knight f.
Yeah.
This just looks fun for white. Rook f4.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, something to analyze in the future, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely do not want to. I mean, he could have went into this. Like, if he played bishop h6, he would be forced into that line.
Exactly.
Nothing else to do. But let's see what happens. Yeah, he uses material.
Yeah, I just blundered the next couple moves and
Yeah, tough position. I mean, you were going for counterplay. Like here, if he doesn't have g4, then you might have some hope. But g4 is just crushing. But good game. I mean, this is a good sign that you were able to like kind of just get a better position from the early middle game against a relatively strong opponent, and it just was kind of one moment of being scared or lack of experience which caused your downfall. But that's certainly a good sign.
Yeah, many good signs to come. Uh, yeah, I'm playing the tournament this weekend, and I'm
Oh,
just gonna
cool. Is
try
it
to.
just a weekend tournament, like 5 games, or
Yeah, 5 games total,
cool?
so it'll be fun.
Well, best of luck. If you have any questions, let me know in terms of any specific preparation or anything. But it seems like you're on a good pace. Like keep doing what you're doing,
Sure.
and yeah, play to learn. Like don't be afraid. Like if you get a good position against a stronger player, be confident, but manage your time.
Mm,
And if you get a worse position against a weaker player, like don't give up.
yeah,
Like just keep fighting until every last moment.
yeah. Oh man, thanks so much, Eric. I'll
Yeah, you're welcome.
next session. I would love to go over the new study that you sent me. So I appreciate
Sure.
that.
Yeah, and if feel free to do those exercises, and then if you have questions or if you want more exercises, I can keep adding some in.
Yeah, sure. I'll finish those, and I actually just started imagination and chess, which you sent me.
Nice,
So I
awesome.
did the first like four problems, and I think that's gonna occupy me for a little while if I
Sounds
keep.
good.
So,
Yeah, it's a
um,
great book.
yeah, it's so hard already, but
It is difficult. Yeah, just be patient with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Appreciate it, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Tam. So I'll let you go, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you. I'll see you next week or 2 weeks. I'll look at the schedule and book a time.
Sounds good. Yeah,
Uh,
that works for me. All right,
Sweet.
take care.
Take care.
Bye.